Welcome back to Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I'm your host, Tim Leifheit, and joining me, as always, is Sean Wheeler.
Happy to be here, as always.
And yeah, last week we got really political with V for Vendetta, although, to be fair, it's kind of hard not to, especially these days. We're actually recording, so just as an FYI, we've recorded this before the election, so things are still up in the air for us. So if we sound outdated, that's why. But yes, but if you guys want to just skip ahead and start the movie, there, as always, there is a sync button where the movie where you can it'll let you know where the movie starts and you can get right to the movie. But that said, this is a fun one. This is probably one of the most fun dystopia movies of all time, isn't it, Sean?
It really is. And when thinking about this movie and really Terry Gilliam films in general, that very famous quote always comes to mind, and that is that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And I feel like that is the entirety of Terry Gilliam's career, and I love it.
Yeah, it totally is, dude. This is on a subject of another Terry Gilliam film, but it was Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. It was the one movie I've seen that truly kept me at a loss for words.
See that you've mentioned this before, and that always throws me because it's like I watched that movie, and I bought it within the week. Like I loved it.
See, I mean, I knew it was a Terry Gilliam film because I watched it first when I was in film school, and it was at a Thursday night screening at our theater, and I knew it was a Gilliam film, but I wasn't expecting just how weird it was going to get. And by the end of it, I was the only thing that was running through my mind was that great Roger Ebert review of David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch. I admire what the director has done here. It's a very good job. It is one of the most unpleasant experiences I've had in a theater, and I guess I have to vote thumbs down, but as a side note, I admire what he did, and I hate it. It was like it's like one of the few films that left me at a complete loss for words. This movie didn't quite get there, but it was. I think it's because it was so rooted in Orwell that Orwell was weirdly what was keeping me sane through my first screening of Brazil.
And I think definitely if you're going into Fear and Loathing with no awareness of who Hunter S. Thompson is, what he has done in his life, and the kind of coverage and things that he has done, I think it has a very difficult approach. On that note, if you haven't watched it, you should watch Where the Buffalo Roam.
Oh,
Maybe get a different take on somebody playing that iconic character or person, actually, because it's not a character, although whether he was being a character or actually being himself is always up for a question. But
yeah, it kind of is. Yeah,
I just everything. I have never seen a Terry Gilliam movie that I haven't liked. One of my all-time favorites is The Brothers Grimm, because it takes just that kind of fantasy fairy tale movie and just handles it so well with perfect casting. And I will, if somebody, pretty much anyone could just walk up to me and I could be in any mood, it doesn't matter, they'll be like, hey, you want to watch a Terry Gilliam movie? I'll be like, yes I do.
Hell yeah.
I don't even care which one.
Yeah.
Put one on, let's do this. and
probably go ahead.
One of the things I know is big for you, we've talked before about the fact that you always want to see people try and really use the medium of film in a way that what they're doing can't be done in any other medium. And I definitely think, for his time, because, let's face it, he's at the end of his career these days, because he's getting up there. But I definitely think in his heyday, he was pushing a lot of those boundaries more than anyone else was at the time, and really, using the medium in the kind of the way that it should. Now, not necessarily beyond anything that had come before. But when you really look at film and where it had gone in like the 60s and 70s, a lot of the insane creativity that came out, for actually making movies from like, the 20s to the 40s when they were first using the techniques, a lot of people had backed off that. He, re-embraced them, doubled down, and used them to really create these amazing, vibrant stories and worlds and just visuals that like take you to a completely different place. And I think
Oh, totally.
that that's going to be his legacy for a very long time. So I don't think you could look at people today really trying to use film as as a medium of art to do original things and not give credit to the leaps forward that were possible because of Terry.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm so glad you point that out because um, like some of the two best things that I've always come to believe that the medium of film specifically is really good at is creating a mood and also creating not so much a narrative but more along the lines of an idea.
Yes.
It's like because Inception really was like probably one of the most meta films in the last couple of years because it's about crafting ideas and infiltrating one's dreams because films are very dreamlike in that sense. And but yeah, looking back on all of Terry Gilliam's movies, they do have that very strange, weird, dreamlike quality. I mean, even though like something like Fear and Loathing Las Vegas is more like a drug acid trip, it still has that element of like you're dreaming. Like these things that you're seeing aren't real. They're not real, but they feel real. It's that fine balance of surreality.
Yeah, and I mean that's for the uninitiated, that's something that happens on a lot of psychedelics. It's just like I'm not
Yes.
sure whether or not what I'm experiencing is because of the drug or if it's reality, and there
Yes.
are issues distinguishing the two at times.
Yep. Boy, I hope you listeners back home got some shrooms for this one because it's about to get fun. But yeah, like because he really is like embracing that sort of thing. Because again, oh crap! What was I going to get to my point to? I have a brain fart. I think the shrooms just dropped. No, I don't have any. I'm too poor for that. But yeah. Also, because we also got to mention that this is the second of the Imagination trilogy, which I love. That's probably my favorite body or subpart of Terry Gilliam's work, particularly Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Like Time Bandits it's the children's film I honestly wish that I saw as a kid and grew up loving, because I saw it in college with a dear friend of mine, visual effects, the BGSU's premier visual effects artist, Nick Puhala, who absolutely loved Terry Gilliam movies. He hadn't seen Time Bandits. I hadn't seen it. I happened to have a copy, and we watched it, at my place, and we just had. It's one of the most fun movie experiences of my life, and I always hold that first screening very dearly. And hopefully, I can persuade Nick to come out and do the commentary with us because. I love that film so much.
I mean, it is an absolutely wonderful film. Interestingly, this is the start of another Terry Gilliam trilogy. It's the middle.
Oh, is it?
It's the middle of one, but he actually has recently said that this is the first of his dystopian film trilogies, and he ties this in with 12 Monkeys and Zero Theorem.
Oh!
So, yes, he acknowledges that this is part of the Imagination trilogy, but it now also fits into another trilogy that he has acknowledged.
Ooh, that's cool. Man, I would have never thought. Man, See how cool this movie is, you guys? It's fucking cool, man. Although, you know what's really weird? Like, the weirdest little fun fact about this movie that I read up on. Apparently, because, again, this is a total, just mystifying to Gilliam himself. But apparently this movie's really popular with the American right. As in the political right.
Yeah, I do not understand that at all.
I don't... Is it because this is what they want?
Yeah, it's like, this is an indictment against, like, literally everything that was going on in the Reagan 80s, and yet...
It's so... It you know, it's odd to say, but that just might be the strangest thing about this very, very, very weird movie.
Yeah, like, I can understand, you know, them, you know, the right being like, hey, I love Wall Street. Like, I know it's a cautionary tale, but, you know, the whole point is don't get caught. Like, I could understand that. Like, this, I'm just like...
Or even, like, The Wolf of Wall Street, which is specifically made to be, like, a Rorschach test. I always say great movies are, like, really great Rorschach tests that they reveal who you really are. Like, if you watch The Wolf of Wall Street and you look at it and you're like, oh my god, what a bunch of fucking sleazebags, and I am pissed that they don't get indicted or really, like, punished or any regrets or anything, and I'm pissed off about that, and other people can watch that, I'm like, fuck, that guy had an awesome fucking life. You know? It's like, because that's... I always love, you know, Rorschach test movies.
Yeah.
And I always thought, you know, some of the greatest ones do that. But this I'd never really considered a movie quite like that, but I guess it is.
Yeah, for some.
In a weird way.
But, you know, at the same time, I can... and this is... almost kind of mean to say, but I could definitely see where they don't get it. Like, when it comes to the ending, like, I think they might just literally miss the point. You know, it's like...
Well, you know what?
It's very...
I just got it. They watched the studio cut and liked it. That's what it was. That is totally what it was. Oh, and yeah, before I totally forget, for those of you who are still actually listening, we are watching the director's cut. Yes, there are 3 versions. There is the original cut that Terry Gilliam made. Then there was the amazingly stupid studio interfered cut that they released and tried to push. And then there's a funny story, which we'll go into more later as the episode goes on. But they made a 3rd version, which was a director's cut approved by Terry Gilliam, and that's the one we're watching. And let's be honest, it's kind of like Blade Runner: The Final Cut. It's the best version. Like, the last version is the best version.
The amount of absolute crap Terry had to go through in fighting with the damn studio to get his cut out there, to get this movie released as it should have been, was a nightmare. But that's also one of the brilliant and wonderful things about Terry, is that it's like, oh, he'll fight that fight. He will go toe-to-toe with you. He will not compromise on his art.
No, honestly. And that's something... It's really, it's honestly the most commendable thing about that is not only the fact that he fought very hard, brilliantly fought, and actually managed to get it released, but he actually had the gall and the balls to get back into a director's chair in just another couple of short years.
Oh yeah,
after that.
Well, I mean, not only after that fight, but I mean, the fact that the movie came in relatively close to budget, but took 7 months longer to film than was planned, like. That's kind of a miracle. It's like, this took them 9 months to make when it was supposed to take 2. And then
2 months to make a movie?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it was only supposed to take 2 to 3 months, and it took like, as I said, I think it was supposed to take 6 to 8 weeks. It ended up taking 9 months, and
good God.
Then he had to fight to actually get his version out there. So it's like, this man went through all that and was just, but before long was just like, all right, let's do it again, movies. And that's really the kind of attitude that it takes to make movies. It's like, you have to love making movies that much that you'll just jump right back into that insane fight.
You know, my wife often looks at me like whenever I share my old stories of making movies back in college, and she's like, "Wow, you really are a masochist." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a filmmaker."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that's just kind of the nature of things, because like it's like I think one really great editor, I think it was for one of the editors for the Lord of the Rings. They were just doing all the editing 200 million feet of film or something crazy like that, and they're like, boy, that was one of the hardest things I've ever worked on. I don't think I'll ever edit ever again. But they're like, I guess it's like a mother giving birth. Like, Jesus Christ, that was so fucking painful. But in 2 more years, you find yourself doing it again. So,
okay,
but that's
weird.
that's movies.
Yeah, it really is. And also, here's a little weird random piece of trivia I think everyone should know, because it's so interesting, even though it's not related to this, but because you mentioned Lord of the Rings. The last shots that are included in the extended edition of Return of the King were actually shot the day it won the Oscar.
Oh,
so they weren't even done with what they were doing for the extended edition when they won the award.
Oh yeah,
think about that.
Like one of the because I remember
the movie was out, and they'd won the award, and they still weren't done. How insane!
Yep. I think it was really funny that when Peter Jackson was doing some more inserts for Paths of the Dead, where the skulls all fall out.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, they were like, man, Peter Jackson's like, it's really nice, that you win the Academy Award for the Best Picture and you're still working on the movie. that's some really good shit, man. But enough about other movies. Let's get right to it and talk about Brazil, which is, actually, can we say that it might be Terry Gilliam's finest movie, his magnum opus, possibly?
See, I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know that I could necessarily say that, just because of the brilliance of other films of his that I've seen, and I think I don't know that anyone could ever really make that claim, because I think so many of his films are going to be very subjective, based on how they hit you personally, because they're all very personal stories, and they all look at extremes of life in different ways. I think this one, I would definitely say, just because of everyone living under capitalism and things of that nature, this is probably his most approachable film, outside of obviously the Python work. I would say that it's the film that most people would be able to have an engagement with. But I don't necessarily know that you can straight say anything is his best. I mean, it
really comes down to the viewer.
Yeah. Well, and there's certain people who it's like, there's definitely you can see high watermarks, but it's like, I've never gone into a Terry Gilliam film and been like, oh man, he dropped the ball. Like, I've never seen this guy drop the ball, in my opinion. So that's why it's like, I've seen Scorsese drop the ball. I've not seen Gilliam drop the ball, so I'm like, I can't really say that.
There are a couple that are just lesser for me because I have such a high standard for Gilliam, but it's kind of like Werner Herzog. Even like Roger Ebert once said, even his failures are spectacular.
Yeah,
and I think you can say that about Gilliam.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think, and I have no problem saying this. To me, when it comes to amazing, auteur directors, it's really like I often put, Gilliam and Kubrick in the same breath, because like they're so about what they do, and while obviously they're very different from each other, when you look at their body of work, I mean, when you're watching a Kubrick film, when you're watching a Gilliam film.
And there's lots of wide angle lens.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, they give you this visceral feeling that I don't necessarily get from a lot of other auteurs. Not that other auteurs are bad. I mean, there's obviously, it's like, I clearly love Spielberg and Wes Anderson and all these people. But man, I mean, I don't think I think the visceralness of their work is something that really ties those two directors together in my mind. Which
Totally.
is why I tend to think of it that way.
Totally. All right, well, we've been talking for almost 20 minutes now, so I think
Yeah,
we should probably get started on
Yeah,
the movie.
it's also a long movie, so.
Yes, it is. So, all right, if you guys got the movie, you got it on Blu-ray, you got it on VHS, boy, I just hope you got the director's cut, because this is where we're going to get started. So here we go in 3, 2, 1, click. And remember, so I'm watching the Criterion Collection version. So for those of you Criterion fans out there, you've got a really good version, especially like I said, because we are watching the director's cut, the 2 hour and 23-minute version. So hopefully you guys are all good. Then we got, oh yeah. And like almost right away, we got the music.
Yep. I mean, and it pops up throughout the entire film. It's wonderful.
Yep. Well, I mean, because I remember some of the original working titles was 1984 and a half.
Yeah.
Which was actually kind of brilliant, because not only is it, a reference to George Orwell's 1984, but also a little bit towards Finelli's 8.5, which I thought was all really clever. They also wanted to call it The Ministry, which honestly is kind of boring, actually. But the fact that they were like, let's just use every version we can of the 1930s song Aquela do Brasil, or Watercolor of Brazil, that is. Yeah. And just, that's the name of the movie now.
Do you know the legend behind where that came from?
Oh, please tell. Tell us all.
So apparently, Terry went to visit the beach in England, and it wasn't that nice of a day. But there was this older guy out there just enjoying this mediocre beach day, and this was the song he was playing on this little portable stereo or whatever that he had. And Terry was just so taken aback by this guy who was just living in this moment, but it's so mediocre, but he clearly was in his own world, finding a way to enjoy it. He was just like, I'm taking that song.
Totally. And I'm just gonna get my money's worth out of that song.
I love the posters. I love all the propaganda posters. I mean, they're straight out of the Soviet Union and the propaganda posters from World War II. They're brilliant.
Yes. Also, I love the production design of these whimsical machines.
Interestingly, this gentleman here is a percussionist who actually toured with I think it might have been Elton John when he played Russia.
Wow, really?
Yeah, or maybe it was Billy Joel. Regardless, yeah, he's actually a musician.
Right on. And see, already we've already begotten a ridiculous amount of Terry Gilliam's signature wide-angle lens. Whoops. Buttle.
The mistake that starts it all.
Yep. It's all because those damn machines don't work. And that's actually one of the best little bits of commentary that this movie, I think, has, is that, we always talk about progress and things, but we constantly make sure the stuff that runs our lives is constantly shitty in quality, just so we can manufacture a reason to maintain them and create quote unquote jobs and to give people this weird false sense of luxury.
Yeah.
You know?
So two things. One, I had never caught before that show was the eye. And like Terry Gilliam has this thing for putting eyes in his movie. Now, that's not exactly that's not exactly how he normally does it, but I love the fact that he found a way to at least get something like it in there. Also,
clever bastard.
All my heart for the fact that they have the Marx Brothers played. Love it to death.
Totes. I also love the genius that she uses the mirror to watch the TV. Oh, shit.
And all hell breaks loose.
Yep. And of course we have another Terry Gilliam staple, bursting through shit. We always got to have someone burst through some shit. But yeah, look, guys, you know, if these poor people weren't white, this would be America 2020 right now.
Ouch, but yeah.
It's really hard not to be political in these times. By the way, folks, vote.
Won't this come out after the election?
I think so. Oh crap! I feel like an idiot now. Okay, I guess I deserve to be arrested now. Come and take me, put me in the thing. But yeah, this is straight up 1984. Although, you know what's really funny? Apparently, Gilliam never read the book.
Yeah, which is really interesting, particularly consider how many references to it he puts in here.
Yeah. And I also love that he gives it a bit of a comedic edge to it with this kind of shit. Like, the woman is just totally compliant.
Right.
It's horrifying, but it's also weirdly funny. What the fuck? Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
You know, whenever I pitched this movie to other people, I always said it's exactly like George Orwell's 1984, but with 10 times more wide-angle lens and a lot of ceiling pipes. Why ceiling pipes? I don't know. I'm not even sure Gilliam even knows.
Yeah, I mean...
Whoops. Oh, that poor woman. Well, I'm sure this'll have no lasting causes on her children. Oops, spoke too soon. Oh, here we go. Oh, I love this. And I love this shot. The fact that it pulls out and with...
Yep.
I don't know how he was able to choreograph all those extras to move so perfectly and fluidly, because they are like cogs in a clock.
Yep. And there's only really the one side here. They show you going around the corner, but they really just fake it. Like, it's the same side from the other direction.
Yep. That's some really good camera tricks.
Oh, and right here, I mean, the incomparable Holm.
Oh, Ian Holm. God rest that man's soul. Because just about anything that he's in, he's just absolutely brilliant. You know what's another thing that... Because you might not have noticed this, but this is something I literally was not able to get out of my head. Oh, actually, I love this part right here. As soon as the boss is gone...
Yep.
Boy, now that's the workplace in 2020. I tell you what. But yeah, one of the things that I always weirdly connected with the production design to this movie was that it really reminded me of the production design brilliantly done by Anton Furst in Tim Burton's Batman.
Okay, yeah, I can very much see that, particularly Yeah, yeah, very much like with the
It feels like it's a combination of Carl Grissom's office in his high level rise apartment,
yeah,
and also Axis Chemicals.
yeah, that thank you. That's I was trying to think of the chemical factor. I was brain farting on it.
It really because it reminds me of it's somewhere between. Love that. That's so good. Such good comedy. And I actually love his hairstyle where it's kind of looped a little bit to look like devil horns.
Yeah,
So great. Um, but yeah, this is a movie that's clearly, I mean, it really is, somewhere right between Blade Runner
and here
Batman.
we finally are getting our shots of our protagonist.
Yep.
And my
Played by
gosh,
the incomparable Jonathan Pryce.
yeah, and I mean, man, what a. I mean, this is one of his favorite films. You know, he talks about. It's one of the favorite roles he's ever done. But I mean, my goodness, he has such an amazing talent and range, and he's so good here.
Yes, he is.
I like the Bowie-esque makeup on his face.
I love it. You're right. It is Bowie-esque, isn't it? Like that's he's even got the lightning makeup on from oh god,
Aladdin
I
Sane.
feel like an asshole. Yes, thank you. Wow, I listen to so much Bowie. You'd think I'd like have that shit memorized. I also love the sound design. In addition to the production design, that you have it like it's all analog.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Because again, I love that Gilliam was way ahead of the fact that, because I liken the machines in this movie as to the American internet. Yeah, we invented this shit. Yeah, it really is kind of like a great modern time saver and whatnot. But we keep it in such a shitty and poor condition that it constantly needs updates and rewires and visits to get your routers updated and fixed, that it's supposed to artificially create jobs and also maximize profits. And I'm like, dude, you're way ahead of your time, because all this shit like looks cool, but fuck if it doesn't work. Right? And of course, I also really love the apartment production design.
Yeah.
Again, this movie really does feel like it was perfectly. It was like taking some of the elements of Blade Runner from Ridley Scott, recycling them, and then transforming it into its own thing. And then Tim Burton saw this and took elements from this movie, shifted shit around, and made it into the Batman movie, which I thought was, it's just a wonderful way for how shit gets recycled
and the sign right there, information is the key to prosperity. That is straight out of like the style of it, straight out of the Soviet Union.
Yep. Even the uniforms and the Sten guns. And later on, they have the giant Bren guns.
Yeah.
And I also love how they kind of give it like a weird, almost, 1940s aesthetic as well. Like this is supposed, it's like the whole commentary of like Batman the Animated Series. Like it's the whole production design's like, it looks like the 1939's World's Fair went on for another 50 years.
For sure.
Whereas this, this is 1984 for them. It's just that the style of the 1940s really never went out.
I like the fact that despite the fact that there was a break with the Pythons, he still puts them in here because he promised in this role. Interestingly, that's actually the role De Niro wanted.
Yeah. He fought really, really hard to be in this movie, but He still wound up as the smaller role of Tuttle.
Well, yeah,
who goes in and
he wanted this. He wanted the role. Michael's playing here, but he got
Yep.
Tuttle because Terry had promised this role to Michael, and with that kind of relationship, that's not a bridge you're burning.
Yeah, but I think even De Niro was so enthusiastic that he basically did that his bit part for free.
Oh yeah, I don't think he was even initially credited or billed.
Yeah, yeah. It's just in later years, it's like, oh shit, Robert. I even remember watching the movie for the first time. I'm like, wait, is that fucking Robert De Niro?
Right?
Holy shit! Holy shit! What are you doing here, dude? You're just in Raging Bull, man. What the hell? Oh, there's another use of the eye. Man, I really wonder if any of these old props ever survived. Something tells me they didn't, just because as you can see, they're literally cobbled together by old thrift store junk, and on a very loose puppetry mechanism.
Yeah.
That a performer off camera can do. But I really wonder if any of those survived.
It'd be really cool if it did, but
it would be. But I'm 90% sure that it's not, because all those parts are just cobbled together. I imagine someone, excuse me, they just took it apart and used all the pieces either for scrap or to refurbish it for another prop or something.
Yeah.
Because shit gets recycled in the movie business all the time.
Oh, yes.
And I also love the fact that they have to constantly have these giant mirror enlargers for all their screens.
Yeah.
Which, now that the more I think about it, because if you remember, for the trailer for WALL-E, the Pixar movie, they had the song Brazil playing for the trailer. And then later on in the movie, he has he's playing, Hello Dolly on a little iPod, and he uses the mirror to enlarge it to a big screen. I wonder if that's a direct result, inspiration from Brazil.
I love that it goes from pulling strings into a face being pulled.
Just that one little bit of paperwork that... Oh, God. Well, he certainly got Botox culture right.
Yep.
I remember when we first watched this for the first time, I couldn't stop sending all my film friends pictures of this woman.
Oh, yeah.
Getting her face peeled back, just because they're like, I swear to God, Tim, just one more picture. One more, and you're off my contacts list. Of course, there's another image that I like to just randomly send people for, with no context, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, right away we just got all the more wide angle lens.
And I just love that he's sitting over there and he's starting to pick up the plastic surgery pieces, the excess breasts and stuff. It's like, wait, what?
Yep. It's like, ew. Jesus. That seriously looks like she's gonna die.
Yeah, and my gosh, I love the it's like the shoe on the head. What?
Oh, that's where I remember, because I'm like, where have I seen that doctor before? That's Jim Broadbent. If you remember, he was Horace Slughorn in the Harry Potter movies. He was also the chief of police in Hot Fuzz.
Ah, yes.
Because he's one of only 20 British actors that exist.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the other thing about this movie that I thought was super fun and whimsical, and I'm glad that it's never explained. The hats, the shoe hats.
Oh yeah, but I also, I mean, you finally see the inside of this amazing fancy restaurant, and
there's giant pipes.
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. You still got all the heating ducts all over the place.
It's so tacky and stupid. You know, I'm actually, you know, I think if you look closely, they're like jewel encrusted. Like they've got the the material of disco. So like, look, yes, the heating ducts are everywhere, but it's an aesthetic thing, dear. It's an aesthetic, darling. That's why it looks good. Oh, and speaking of aesthetics, what do we have here for this gift? Oh, and look at this ridiculously huge menus. Oh my God, that's, you know, those touchpad things that you see at the Applebee's or the like any of the upscale, you know, grill and restaurants, like the touch screens that they have for you to sign the bill and look at the specials and whatnot. Holy shit, that's that before that was even a fucking thought, dude. Yep. God, you gotta love how this shit like totally really tries to predict all these sort of things. Because this movie came out in 1985, and I'm 90% sure they wanted a 1984 release because, you know, 1984.
Yeah.
But although it's funny because there was a movie that came out in 1984 that wasn't a direct adaptation starring John Hurt.
Yep. And that's actually one of the reasons they abandoned the idea to call this 1984 and a half.
And a half, yeah. They didn't want it to be too closely related, especially because it was another, you know, a British and American production. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually curious. Did you ever see that one? The one with John Hurt?
I don't believe so.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. You know, like they show, like, you know, little bits of it in high school and whatnot, and when they show you the book and whatnot. I didn't read the book until college. I didn't actually read it in high school, but I've seen a few clips of it here and there. Really need to one of these days, because boy, does it feel relevant.
I mean, I love the absolute train wreck of this meal.
Oh, I know, right? You also gotta love how, you know, the people really aren't like terrified and trying to run out of there. They're just like, holy shit, what the hell was that? And the band just continues to play like nothing happened.
Terry stated that his inspiration for the restaurant bombing and for the terrorists was the activities that were going on by the IRA at the time.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if the you know, the locals were as like cool, calm, and collected as this.
I sincerely doubt it.
I doubt it too, but honestly, it's still really funny just how like, oh, they're at it again.
Well, yeah, and also to put some historical context in it, a lot of IRA bombings were preceded by a phone call a couple minutes ahead of time because they were not looking to actually kill people. They were looking to you know, destroy the property in, you know, as retaliation and to make their point. So they were a lot of times not actually looking to inflict casualties.
Well, if that doesn't sound familiar too. Boy, it really... Yeah. You know, this is why I really couldn't resist doing this movie, considering we are kind of at this dystopian level of, like, awfulness. And, although I really do wish it was as strange and whimsical as this one, you know? Because I don't know about you, but every night I go to sleep, I have dreams where I fly in a Bowie costume. Like, I mean, if you're not dreaming like this, you're just doing your dystopia wrong. Like, you gotta fly away to escape and fight giant monsters and oh shit, look, it's Trump's wall. Like, oh shit, he wasn't kidding, I guess. He was. He totally was.
I just love the visuals here. I mean, they just
Right?
work so well.
Right? And the fact that I mean, look, I know that shit's miniatures because it's really hard to scale down, dirt and gravel and things like that. But I'll be damned if it isn't still really good. As a matter of fact, Gilliam and his special effects have always been like low key, really fucking good. Like, I go back to Time Bandits a lot, and there's lots of comparison to like the Star Wars movies, particularly like Return of the Jedi, because it came out around at the time. That, and it also has like a bunch of little people just like Return of the Jedi,
Right.
including several of the actors who were in there. But yeah, like the effects in this one and Baron Munchausen and Time Bandits, all of them really kind of like actually cutting edge at the time.
Yeah.
It's weird that everyone talks about in the 80s, like all these like the Towering Inferno and Star Wars and all these like really big special effects movies. Like Terry Gilliam never gets recognition for the work that he does on these.
Yeah, and I mean his
actually,
effects are fantastic.
Yeah, because I remember watching Time Bandits for the time. I'm like, wow, this shit's really dated, but in the context that it was like like the early 80s, this is actually really phenomenal, especially for a straight up kids movie. Like, wow. Yeah, we've all been there. Especially with the warmer weather out, just sticking our head in the fridge. I relate to this shot on a personal level, you guys. Like, it hurts. Just falling asleep at 3 a.m. with my head in the freezer, and then all of a sudden my phone gets a call, and of course, I'm stupid enough to answer, and what is it? We've been trying to reach you about our extended warranty. Oh, yep, and we were talking about him before, and if it isn't the man himself, fucking Robert De Niro.
Yeah, and interestingly, De Niro has nothing but glowing things to say about working on this movie.
Yeah.
But Terry got rather fed up with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
So apparently, most other scenes only required like 2 or 3 takes. Like that's all the actors needed, like 2 or 3 takes, and they were done. De Niro kept on insisting on like 20 to 25. So he was supposed to be in this movie for like he was supposed to be as part of like on-set filming for a week, and it turned into 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
And like he had this whole thing about doing his research and all this stuff that was just driving Terry up the wall. It was just like,
I mean, in all fairness, that is just Robert De Niro. I mean, we're talking about the man who only 5 years earlier to this, he gained 60 pounds for Raging Bull.
yeah.
Like, that's nuts to do. But in all fairness, it is kind of fun to have him there as like, and I love the fact that he's a vigilante repairman.
Right?
That is 2 words I never thought I would ever hear side by side, but here we are. And you know what's also really weird? By like 2021 or 2022, I have a weird feeling that we'll have vigilante repairmen running around in costumes like this. Repairing cars, repairing air conditioners, refrigerators, washing machines. Just, like holding a gun to your head. I'm like, I'm here to help. I'll get my toolkit. Although we forgot to mention the other repairman in this movie, the late and also equally great Bob Hoskins.
Yes. So interestingly, that piece of paperwork he references right here,
Yeah.
was actually a reference to the address of where Orwell wrote a lot of 1984.
Ha! How about that? Man, for a dude who never read the original novel, it's amazing how much he was able to squeeze in here.
Oh yeah.
I also love the stupid ass glasses that they give him. Like, oh my god. Just
Interestingly, do you know how he got Bob Hoskins on this film?
oh, please tell. I
So
want to hear all the facts.
apparently, this was
shit.
at the same time where Bob was off making the Cotton Club.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And apparently Terry just showed up on the set and basically hijacked him. He's like, I need you, come on.
Well, in all fairness, like Bob Hoskins has like that crazy edge that's necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, if it ain't the man himself.
And it's, it's interesting. I didn't even think about it because there's actually a story that has Bob Hoskins and De Niro tied together. That's quite interesting.
Oh, please
So
share.
Bob Hoskins was originally supposed to play Al Capone in The Untouchables. Like,
Oh my god, that would have been amazing.
No, contract signed, like he got paid for it. Period. Like it had been
Wow.
done, but then unexpectedly De Niro became available, so they bumped him and got De Niro. But because the contract and stuff had been signed, he still got paid, and so he has this joke where he was always like, he's like, I always tell the studio, let me know if there's any other movies you want to pay me not to be in.
That's great. Oh man, I see, and now if you look at the rage on his face, now I really kind of want Bob Hoskins
Right?
as that cartoony version of Al Capone that we saw.
Oh, yeah,
Let's be honest, like the Untouchables, the history behind it is absolute ass bogus, but I don't give a fuck because that movie
Yeah.
is entertaining.
So here's something interesting. Apparently, the exteriors for this apartment building are not a set.
What?
Apparently, from what I was reading, the exteriors, the interiors obviously are a set, but the exterior
Yeah.
was a new fancy built like Paris apartment complex, and they used that to film the exteriors. Now, obviously, the stuff around it, had to be added
Yeah.
or whatever, but apparently the apartment building proper is an actual Paris apartment building.
Fascinating.
Although, however, I should let it be stated, I am not 100% positive if that's for all the shots or just where he's ziplining away.
It might be.
But I also
'cause,
know
like,
when
if you
he's
saw earlier.
But I also know when he's ziplining away that is a set. That's a modeled down set.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just like I am. But I do know that the exteriors for the apartment complex was a Paris apartment complex.
I'm pretty sure that like the earlier shot where you saw Jonathan Pryce looking out at his balcony, like that was part of that too. They just did added some matte painting with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what
but-
it is. I think it's actually just that apartment complex with matte painting all behind it.
Yep, that's probably what it is because Hollywood's always about like how can we get the money out of this.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, the most brilliant thing about film that I love is, the use of forced perspective. It's just like, oh, you don't actually realize how close or how far away this is, and we can use that to make you think that your spaces are bigger or smaller or all sorts of crazy stuff. It's wonderful.
Yep. you can move walls around and shit like that, and you get to play around with that. But I love this that he's like, I'm not even gonna take a tip. Like, I do this because like I'm a freedom fighter. Like, hell yeah! I really hope there's more guys like this in the future. Although I really hope that guys like him aren't have to be justified. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because holy shit.
Yeah,
but I do love his enthusiasm. Like, he's just always moving around and just on edge and shit. Mm-hmm. Everything is Metropolis, you guys. Everything is Metropolis.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's not a single like big dystopian or science fiction movie that wasn't inspired by Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
I really want that really like classic retro poster of Metropolis.
Yes.
Because not only is it beautiful and cool, but it doubles as referencing not only Metropolis but Hackers, which is like my favorite, one of my favorite 90s movies. Like, I understand it's not good, but like it's still so fun.
Man, you know, I used to be work a printer shop at an old job of mine, and I used to get some bootlegs posters and whatnot from like high quality resolution images from the internet. But man, I really fucking wish that I had one of the Brazil propaganda posters.
Oh yeah.
I wish I was like, shit, I should have gotten one of those, because man, you would never. Okay, so if there's anyone out there who's listening and who knows where they can find like one of those propaganda posters, like, you know, either from Redbubble or wherever, send me a link, because I would love to have one day. I've got so much art. It's ridiculous hanging up in my apartment. I love how they're still like trying to get over this hurdle of butthole.
Yeah. But I love the fact that he is obviously a master of the computer. Like,
yes,
that's why he like, you know, he lives his life how he wants. He has a cushy job. He doesn't want to move up because like it's all easy for him. He can run the game down here.
Yep, he is in his comfort zone. But of course, you know, it really wouldn't be a Terry Gilliam film if the protagonist wasn't thrust out of their comfort zone by extraordinary and whimsical means.
I don't know in this case if it's so much extraordinary and whimsical as love, but I get you.
Or
I should say
in this case, you're right.
I should say infatuation, not actually love.
That is very true.
I mean, your dream girl showing up in real life does not actually mean you love that person in real life. You have an infatuation. Well, I mean, you know,
it's kind of the same deal with Orwell, you know, where, oh God, boy, it's been a long time since I've read 1984. But not Winston, but his love interest, Julia.
But they actually meet. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, they meet apart from him he doesn't have an infatuation with her. He meets her and then falls for her. So there's the difference.
Really? Because I remember in the book where he got a note from her saying, "Hi, I love you."
I mean, he may have, but what I'm saying is that, like, he wasn't fantasizing about this person and then they showed up, like here.
Okay, you know what? That probably was, yeah.
They were two real people encountering each other. Like, this was not like, oh, look, somebody from my dream showed up in real life. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I love the entire way Ian Holm plays this scene. Like, he's just so needly and, like, his mannerisms. My gosh.
Like, you know, yeah, because they set him up as so powerful and so in control. But as, like, things go on, you realize just what a nervous and pathetic wreck he is mentally.
Yeah, there's actually, man, I don't have it in front of me right now. I'm not even sure if I can find it, but, like, the breakdown of his name is even relevant. Like, Kurtzman, when you break it down in German, means like small and something else. Like it's a reference to the character's stature, as well as like his name is even a play on like the traits of the character. Oh yeah, here it is. It's Kurtzman, German for short man. So he's even saying that like he's small in stature and small in success. His name is even a play off of who he is. That's the level of detail clever. You get from this guy's from Terry Gilliam movies. It's brilliant.
These motherfuckers are way too clever for their own good. But I guess it really does make sense that he was part of the OG Monty Python group.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I always love saying about Monty Python is you really have to be exceptionally and extraordinarily intelligent to create something as stupid and dumb as this.
Yeah, well, but that's just one of the same things that I really love about. So that's like a little German car. Apparently, that was an actual car that existed at some point.
Oh yeah,
which is insane.
I love this little thing.
But yeah, when you're talking about having to be bright to make something that silly,
Nope.
When it comes, if you've ever seen the show Futurama, apparently there was something like 160 some odd years worth of Ivy League education in the writer's room.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, like a lot of the amazing stuff you see out there that's kind of silly, but is also like really intelligent and has a lot of like nuance and subtle things. Like it takes brilliant people to make something that silly, but also make it that cerebral at the same time.
Yep. I think, that especially goes for like, the writer's room with Matt Groening on both Futurama and The Simpsons. Like,
yeah,
they've always been billed as the most overeducated cartoon writers ever. Like they have like three PhDs, several master's degrees, and several other major doctorates in the writers' room. So that's what always gave them that kind of weird edge. And it's certainly the exception here. I also really love the fact that the kids in the street, instead of playing playing soccer or kickball or baseball or anything, no, they're playing with guns.
Right.
Like just subtle little details.
And he doesn't even
so
flinch.
Much.
He doesn't even flinch.
No, and that just shows you what a fucked up world this is. Although again, is it really that far from 2020? It's the same with V for Vendetta on our last episode, but this and V, that like it's kind of a perfect year to watch these movies, isn't it? It's a perfect year, and it's also the worst year,
right?
Simultaneously, because oh shit, this scene is so fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, what the hell do you say? Man, I really hate bringing this up, but there is no... But, I'm just going to get an old quote from my hero, Werner Herzog. The poet does not divert his eyes. This is what is coming at us. And the thing is, like, this scene right here just really reminds me of the horrible injustices going on in the national police departments.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually even more powerful now than it is ever, because I mean the fact that her face is always in focus, even though she, Jonathan Pryce's character is center stage, it's her you're looking at constantly. And weirdly enough, they also have the TV in the background as this ever-present constantly annoying thing in the background that wants to draw your eye, but the sympathetic, it never draws their eye because those who are empathetic are constantly looking at her performance. And yeah, it also reminds me of that. Like, I don't know if any of you out there have been watching the show The Boys on Amazon, which is a phenomenal show because I know you've been watching it. Watching it, Sean, right?
Yes, although I have not seen yesterday, so no spoilers.
No, that's fine. Well, it just reminds me a lot of, like the big superheroes corporation trying to cover up the horrible crimes and damages and deaths.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, oh, we're sorry. Here's an NDA. Here's $2,000, and we'll be on our way. Bye. Oh, sorry. Like, it's just the fact that this isn't the like, this reaction is totally relevant, but of course, it's undermined by holy shit.
Right. And it's like,
oh my god.
Do you know who that was?
Yeah.
That was the director.
No shit.
The smoking man on the stairs is Terry's little cameo in this movie.
Oh my god. How about that? I guess he just has to have a little Hitchcock moment there. But yeah, it's times like that where I'm just like, ugh, this movie hurts.
Something I would like to point out is that he really pulls off that fedora quite well.
No kidding, right? I want his suit. I really love the men's apparel of the 1940s and 30s.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you lose in a lot of days with suits these days is the lack of waistcoats.
Yes. That and really good dress trench coats.
Yes. However, one of the nice things about, in my opinion, if you go with, a solid single color suit that doesn't have a waistcoat, the wide world of what is now possible and available in waistcoats is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, right here, that's just like classic noir, with the sax and all the men in suits walking away into the distance with the deep shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. I also love how overly long his trench coat is. Like, it actually looks too big for him. I can't find the woman that I'm trying to stalk. Boy, if this ain't the IRS, I don't know what is. There was only one time where I've seen, an IRS man, becoming infatuated with someone ever really work was weirdly with Will Ferrell and oh crap,
you mean
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite rom-coms. I love me sci-fi rom-coms.
I mean, the strength of that movie is obviously the fact, like, you had a script so good that you got Dustin Hoffman to be in the movie. Like,
I know,
that
right?
says it all.
Not to mention Emma Thomas too, and Queen Latifah.
Emma Thomas is highly underrated.
Yeah, she is. She is. We got to do an episode for that one because, again, one of my weird favorite things to watch are sci-fi rom-coms. So, like, Eternal Sunshine, Her, The Adjustment Bureau. Really love those, actually.
The Adjustment Bureau didn't do much for me, but I am right with you on, Eternal Sunshine, Her.
Yeah. Boy, I love these dream sequences. This is like probably one of the few or one of the few directors that knows how to do good dream sequences.
Oh yeah,
because you remember Siskel and Ebert's review of Jaws: The Revenge, and they're like, a dream sequence. I hate the dream sequence. I can't stand them. You can hear the audience groan. I'm like, look, I'm with you on this particular case, but I'll bet you what. There are people who can do good dream sequences.
Oh, yeah.
And Terry Gilliam is definitely one of them.
One of the key points of a good dream sequence is that the sequence has to be so absurd, like so different from reality, that it is clearly a dream sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
Or it... The only other thing that would work is if it, got to the cutaway where... the person just stood up awake, because they do that constantly. The only other time that actually works is if it's actually a really interesting or surreal or deep knife twist into the character.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it can work. They can work if it's okay, this dream sequence was showing what somebody really what they're actually fantasizing about, and they in real life, and then woke up quickly out of it. That works well. I've seen that done well. But it's if you're doing a horror or outside of whatever dream sequence, I mean...
Well, speaking of horror, look at this place. Jesus Christ. God damn it, I just fixed this place. Also, how are there this many ceiling pipes?
Right?
Seriously, I know there's a lot of ceiling pipes in this movie, but how is there this much? Also, is it really weird that I kind of want Bob Hoskins' hat? It looks so stupid, but is it weird that I kind of want that hat? Although, you know what's funny, though? I think that hat and the jumpsuit there is a better look for him to play Mario than what they actually had in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you referenced that nightmare.
Well, I mean, look at this place. It's kind of hard not to.
Do you know that he was drunk through most of that?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean... How else do you get through a movie like that?
Yeah, him and John Leguizamo were just well, I guess we're drinking.
Yep. Another bourbon, eh? Although I can only imagine what Dennis Hopper was doing behind the scenes on that. There you go. What is that? McKenna. I didn't quite catch it. McKenna. Ooh, nice. Very nice. You are a man of You are a man of wealth and taste. So have some sympathy. So have some sympathy. Christ alive. How the hell is he supposed to sleep in this shit, man?
Right?
Oh, I love that match cut. I swear, those are some of the hardest cuts to ever pull off. The only time I've had one movie of mine where I had a really good match cut, and it was on total accident.
Ha!
Oh, man. I come here to liberate you. Mummy?
I love that the armor is electrical pieces,
yes, yes,
electrical boards and stuff like that.
but it still maintains the patterns and the respect for the culture.
Oh yeah, it still plays out well.
Yeah, totally.
Apparently his reason for wanting to use a samurai here, and specifically like for this kind of sequence, was to
Yeah,
pay homage to Akira Kurosawa.
of course. I mean, we talk about a lot of masters on the show, but Kurosawa is just might be the greatest director who ever walked the planet.
Yeah, I mean,
It's arguable, but he is truly one of the greatest.
well, I mean that's a really easy way to figure out like how great someone is. And when
Yeah.
pretty much every great director that is working cites him as an inspiration, that
Yep.
should tell you what you need to know.
Yep. Although what I really love about this is the fact that they use all these great creative camera tricks to make this guy look, 15, 20 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
Because, they have him with the giant shadow backdrop. They use forced perspective. They have, body doubles with little people. Like,
Yep.
every trick in the book. I love when they do that.
And they use that upward angle to make him
Yep.
imposing.
Yep. And of course, because Terry Gilliam is probably the greatest user of the wide angle lens who probably ever got behind the camera. Like, he really knows its strengths, its weaknesses, and he doesn't always use it for the sake of being weird. Every once in a while he will, but it's always with a true purpose.
Yeah.
And like he said, this is another way to scale it up. But I also love the fact that, like James Cameron, he uses the very good discipline for, if you're doing special effects heavy kind of sequences, you use for every different shot a different technique, so that way the audience never feels the same technique, because that way your eyes never get used to one effect. Oh, it's so cool. I can only imagine the poor costume designer on set, because obviously there's this big action sequence, lots of big fight, and now we got to burn the thing, and I love this. That's fucking Empire Strikes Back right there.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, Gillian saw Empire, watched that, and I'm gonna steal that.
Right.
I'm gonna make it better. But yeah, I love it when they do that sort of thing, and I just really feel like that poor costume designer trying to maintain that thing, because it always looked like it was ready to just fall apart at any time. We've talked about how we've seen a lot of weird things both in this movie and this year alone, but let's be honest, this is still not the weirdest thing.
Nope.
An operatic telegram for an invitation to a party. No, that's still not the weirdest thing. As a matter of fact, this was like a couple of years ago, but out of all the surreal headlines that come out these days, I don't think we're ever going to get any weirder than the acting attorney general is steeped in conspiracies of fraud, Bigfoot, time travel, and extra masculine toilets. I don't think we're ever going to get quite weirder than that. But I'll be damned if this movie doesn't try. Oh, I love that. Because how you have to, because the establishing shot feels like that's him walking in there, and it pans up, and it's like, oh no, it's not, or is it? It's just a really clever little thing. Mom? You look so young.
They're still scanning him.
Oh man, there's something I didn't notice before, but look at her makeup on her body. You notice how they have like very thin pieces of cloth on it to give it that like weird scaly kind of look to it. I never noticed that. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like look real closely.
Yeah.
Like, it's cloth.
Yep.
And I think they use that to make her skin look a little like that much more like loose. Oh God. Yeah. Also, I really love the stupid mole along with the stupid haircut that they give Jim Broadbent.
I love this.
Oh God. Shit. Because man, I know this actor because I've seen him both in Time Bandits and he was like one of the main Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Jack Purvis, that's it.
Mm.
Yeah, he also did. He actually worked a little bit with as R2-D2 with Kenny Baker.
Ah.
Yeah. So I imagine this kind of culture was like pre-Joan Rivers. I'm surprised that Joan never really took like a whole bunch of jokes or references from this and just decided to, roast in herself.
Yeah.
Because I know she did that a lot. God
well,
rest
I
her
mean,
soul.
dude, her stand-up in her heyday was unparalleled.
It truly was. She was one of the great, probably the greatest female comic to ever step up to the mic. You know, it's another thing that I really love about this movie that is because obviously 1984. There's not really a whole lot of room for holidays because it's all about maintaining this dystopia as permanently as we can.
Right.
But I do love that they bring in the Christmas setting
right
to this movie because I don't know what it does, but it adds just a little bit more flavor to the world at hand. Like you know how Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut was randomly set at Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason that I still can't quite articulate, other than maybe the lighting, with the crazy Christmas lights in the background. Other than that, I really can't think of a reason why this movie would take place at Christmas or anything, but for some reason that I can't really articulate, it just adds a new, interesting level and flavor to the movie.
Oh, man.
God, these fucking the ceiling pipes everywhere.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's just because they're so prevalent in every corner of the frame. It just makes it all the funnier. But the best part about it, though, I think, is the fact. Oh.
I did.
Wow.
Right? It's just like, oh my gosh.
Although I will give them this. Shooting in an area where it's all mirrors and for the life of you, looking around, you still can't see the camera.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually kind of a feat. And that's, and that, nowadays that's not so much of a big of a deal because you can always digitally erase it.
Right.
But in the early days, you always had to shoot at an angle where you couldn't see it. But, I'm looking around where all these reflections, and I never was able to spot any camera or equipment. The Ghost in the Machine. I wonder who stole that and made a movie.
Interestingly, so he was talking about his father,
Yeah.
Jeremiah. Here I am, the way he spells that is also an anagram for Jeremiah.
Oh, that's really clever. Man, I love this shot.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Every management ever. I swear. I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and I'm like, yeah, maybe you should try to get into retail because you're really good with people, right? And I'm like, oh no, I avoid when on my last job I avoided retail duty anytime I could, because it's not that I'm afraid of customers or disappointing them. I'm far more terrified at disappointing my manager when it comes to customers.
Mm.
Because I don't know what it is, but the whole workforce of today is just so unsettling. That there should be a horror movie about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how great would that be? Someone write. Okay, for those of you listening, and those who worked retail, write me a script about a very scary, like either office or retail manager. That'd be fucking great. Like a weird mashup of,
Oh, I love this. This is.
Oh, I love these.
So brilliant.
This is actually going to be leading up to one of my favorite cuts of the entire movie, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I was just thinking, like, it should be like a villain mashup between Hannibal Lecter and what's her name from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Nurse Ratched?
Yes, Nurse Ratched. Have it be like a weird bastard son or daughter of those two, and have it be your office retail manager or something. That'd be a great movie.
So I just caught it. I hadn't caught it before.
Yeah.
They just had a really brief moment of interjecting the Brazil notes in with this ominous music quietly in the background.
Oh shit, you're totally right.
I've never watched this movie with headphones on before like I am now, and it's interesting that I picked up that little trick.
Nice. And now we can hear it more prevalently here.
Uh-huh.
Because now we're in the more frantic and more upbeat part, or walking quickly and talking and things like this, and like, look at this paper, look at this. Oh yes, very good, very good. Give me some coffee. I will say this though, this definitely captures like the that frenetic pace that one would get at. I love that blocking. Man, the blocking in that is just perfect. You also notice how like the other guys in the background are always holding their hand up with papers in it, just constantly like even when it's like a complete like quiet beat, they're still holding it up, ready to and poised and ready to go.
And there's that
which
damn
is just
gift
so
again.
fun. Yep, and of course, more goddamn pipes. Although this sequence I thought is really great. Although, you know what's weird? So one of my favorite film critics who ever lived was obviously Roger Ebert. Did you know he did not like this movie?
Huh.
He gave it 2 stars. Which is so weird. And I wonder it's because if it's like the original version or the studio version that they got on here.
It really does depend what version he saw.
But he did go on to say that the best scene in the movie is the simplest, and it's this scene right here where he finds himself engaged in a tug of war over his desk with the other one.
And I love how, like, you know, they had that clip of the Marx Brothers earlier in the movie, and this feels like the most Marx Brothers-y scene of the entire
also got
production.
Like, it also has like a really good touch of Chaplin, you know?
Oh yeah,
like the way he uses his leg. Although I really do think that's a really funny idea that the Ministry is so cheap that they only buy half the amount of desks,
right?
And they just shove it through the wall and have the people compete for it.
Well, it's clear that it was once one office because you have that fake divide and it goes right through the poster on the back wall.
I know, right? And speaking of posters, get a load of these posters for real.
But it also brings the other question of why would that office have had 2 doors?
Honestly, I think it was originally built to be one bigger office.
Right. I get that, but why were there 2 doors in that one bigger office? Why would there be 2 entrances to it? That's very strange to me.
My guess is that they built the extra door when they put the wall in. That's just an educated guess, but either way, I think it's one of those questions that make the absurd humor, the classically absurd humor in this movie, just sing that much louder and truer. God, I love these. And you know what I also love about these devices is the fact that they, despite the fact that they're constantly used and whatnot, they always look like it got a heavy coat of dust on them.
Right. Well, and what's very interesting about this one in particular is that he's supposed to be at this other section now, this higher up, like, important go section. And the guy's not even using his terminal, and he's like a terminal expert. So, like, what is this telling him about where he has ended up all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe this place isn't so great.
I do like the fact that we finally see what one of those stupid gifts does.
I know, actually, I really like that. That's a really cool little, a little stupid use. One of the classic useless devices like the bird pendulum. Of course, I really do love how that he chooses not to use the classic bird pendulum because we've seen it 1,000 times. Let's see some. His movies are all about let's see something different. And speaking of different, let's just have the fucking wall come to life. Give it a face too. Why not? Now, if I'm not wrong, was that Ian Holm?
Yes, it was. It said, "Don't go, please." Like, don't.
Yep, that's right.
He didn't even know he could turn it on.
Jesus Christ. How did you even get to this job? Seriously, these fucking posters crack me the fuck up. Or at least they would if they didn't feel so close to the Trump posters out there.
That's right.
Thank you very much. This promotion is now deemed useless. Oh, shit. I swear, this guy talks like a tobacco auctioneer and a Wall Street broker.
But I love the fact that, like, they just keep harping on the fact of, like, you took a car out and there's issues with it. Like, will you please do your damn paperwork about this car?
Yep.
Because that's what's funny. It's like, I don't think anyone would actually care that the car got destroyed. They just want the paperwork that says the car got destroyed.
Yeah, this movie has a weird fetish for paperwork.
Well, it does, but like, it seems that there are no real consequences as long as you, like, play within the rules. And that's just it. He played outside of the rules. His apartment got destroyed. It's like,
boy, if that there's some commentary for you.
yeah,
Ooh.
but that's what this criticizes is the fact that, like, yeah, if you play within the rules, you get, like, things will go right for you within the system, but then you're stuck in this boring, lifeless, like, soul-crushing, unimportant, materialistic existence, and that's awful.
Yep.
But at the same time, when you step outside of it, it's like, yes, there's potential for better things, but there's also abject horror as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, the transcript.
Right.
Oh my god. I don't know what's more horrifying, the sounds that she's listening to or her like or her pleasant reaction.
Yeah, she's just like, this is my job. I'm fine.
Yep.
No worries.
Yep. Oh, this is just another wonderful day at the job. Here at the ministry, this is such a lovely day, and do have a good day, and be sure to have your paperwork. Although I also love how seemingly useless the hand bracelet that she's wearing.
Yeah.
Like, what are we getting at here? But at the same time, it's actually kind of funnier when you don't know. What a reveal. Oh my god. Those fucking gifts, I swear to god.
I love the fact that one of those... he has a kid there while he's coming out drenched in blood, but that you see one of those baby masks hanging up.
Oh my god! Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. That was so. I mentioned that that image of his mother's face getting stretched around. I just used to send that all the time, especially after me and a bunch of friends got together and watched this for the first time. The other image was the doctor with the baby face mask on.
Oh yeah.
With that great shot with the extremely, almost like borderline fisheye lens.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of the things that always really threw me for this is my first time seeing Michael Palin not playing like in the Pythons, like playing something straight. I'd never seen that before, and I was just like, oh man, like he really can do it.
Huh. You know, that is something weird that I haven't really thought of.
I mean, because
you're right.
He's really good. I mean, he nails his part. He's great at acting here, and it's the first time I've seen him not being silly. And I'm just like, my gosh, he's great.
Yeah, because I mean, the closest thing maybe is a fish called Wanda, but in that one, he's still pretty silly.
Yes.
But I guess I mean, because I guess it's safe to say that silly is his currency. But in a movie this silly, the fact that he's playing it straight makes it silly.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing is the world is silly. No one in it is being silly though. That's what makes this movie so like disturbing. That's what makes it
Yeah.
unsettling.
Yeah. It's like a much more unsettling approach to the movie Airplane.
Yeah.
God, seriously, these posters in the background. Who can you trust? Boy, he has got a real hard on for this woman.
Right.
But in all fairness, I mean, in your average dystopia, isn't there's only two ways you can deal with it. You can either try to, free the people or get laid. Or both. But usually it's one or the other. Cuz like great example is Katniss. Do I want to free the people or get laid?
I love the
Free the
fact that
people.
he just hands him a suit.
Oh, I know, right? Doesn't try it on or anything. Doesn't make sure it's fitted or anything. Just
Well, no,
here you
he's
go.
wearing it. But then the next scene, he's wearing it. He's in the nicer suit.
Of course, I just love how that you're not entirely sure how that would work. That's so dark, but it's so funny. Also, can we talk about the uniforms and the polished helmets and
Oh, my.
everything?
Not only polished helmets, but polished chrome helmets.
Right? Like what? Oh, of course. Oh, well, no. So this movie came up with the idea first, I think, because Spaceballs was 1987. One of my favorite quotes from Spaceballs that I continue to use today is "Fuck! Even in the future, nothing works." I think this movie might have done it first because this was 85 and
Yeah.
Spaceballs, I believe, was 87. So yeah, even in the fucking future, nothing works. And look, no, I want to go down, down. She's there. Yes.
And
I also love how the music is in his head, like it's so glaringly auditorily blinding to the reality of the situation. And then of course,
I mean, his mannerisms through the whole thing are just
perfection. Oh dear, he's not supposed to be down here. You know, like, don't you love the fact that, these people are so quick to put the out of order sign in, but slower than fucking molasses to get it actually fixed?
right.
Where are your papers? I also love the extremely padded shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to
Well,
God, they're
but-
wearing, like, low-key football armor underneath.
What I find so funny about it is like it's because of how he's holding stuff that causes all these problems. Had he literally just shown his badge, that's all it would have taken.
Yeah.
Because you find that out right here. It's just like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah, dude, take a look at... Like, these shots right here and those setups, like, that has to be the early setup for the Axis chemicals. Although, you know, it's really funny because this came it
See,
came
they
out
saw the
literally
badge
one
and
year
they're like,
before.
"Oh shit, stand order."
His badge. I love how he's using that shit.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's funny, like how literally just a badge and a piece of paper is the difference that between life and death in these.
Yep.
And it's just amazing, like, man, if you just forged that shit, how easy would it be to access everything? Man, I really dig the Art Deco,
But see,
the design for the ministry.
I love how, I mean, and here he's losing all the papers and
Oh shit. Oh shit.
I mean, for God's sake, don't lose it. He has just dropped the whole file. Like he is.
Yep. Random oxygen tanks on the side of the road like a phone booth.
I love the taped X over the dog's butt. Like,
Right? What is that? What are we trying to accomplish here? Drop your ass off. Can we just talk about how that blind comes out of nowhere? Oh, hell. I really wish that Jonathan Pryce did more roles, could have done more roles like this, because he's impeccably good at channeling, you know, Keaton and Chaplin and the Marx Brothers. Like, can you imagine how good he would have been in like a really good classic slapstick comedy?
oh yeah. I mean, but I mean his work with Terry is honestly some of his absolute best stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've seen The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, but my
I haven't
gosh.
seen that yet.
I mean, I went out of my way. I got to catch it in theaters when it had its like 1 week like special run before it actually theatrically released, and oh, it was brilliant.
You lucky bastard. You lucky bastard, you.
So, her part had to actually be shaved down quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, Terry knew a lot of the same people that like she did, and she came highly recommended, and she did like screen test well, but like she'd only been in one other film before this,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
her performance was just not quite what he was hoping for a lot of the time. And it's like he basically was just like, yeah, I kind of learned that there really is no substitute for experience. So, like, there was, like, more of her part, like, filmed and done, but it actually had to be, like, shaved down and a lot of her scenes shortened just because it was not working for what he wanted to do.
Yep. And sadly, she really didn't do a whole lot after this. I mean, she did a couple in the 80s, a few in the 90s, but, like, she hasn't been in anything, like, since like 2001 was like some of the last stuff that she's done. She's more or less retired right now.
Playing 'em like a fiddle.
Oh my god, this guy's such a dorky pushover.
Well, he's spent his life living in dreams, like he doesn't deal with people.
Or reality. Get the hell out! Just immediately cuts it to her with a cigarette.
I love the fact that's always matches. It's always matches they're using in this movie for the cigarette.
It's never a lighter, you're right. Oh my god.
Like, it's a little touch, but, like, it sticks with you. You remember
Yeah?
it.
Yeah. Trust me. Man, you gotta love how there's an absurd amount of blinds in that little cabin.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
But, speaking of, Jonathan Pryce here,
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he has had such a long and varied career, but he only, I think just this last year got nominated for an Oscar.
Really? What was it for?
The Two Popes.
Oh, right on.
And, I mean, he does a wonderful job, but...
That's right. He played for Pope Francis.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Yeah, he is kind of the perfect guy for that.
I mean, his accent he does is so spot on. You're just like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Well, not only he also has an uncanny resemblance to Francis as well.
Yeah. And I see what you mean about, watching him do like a Buster Keaton type movie would be perfect.
Yeah. It would. He's a little old now, but it'd be really great.
But had he done it in his heyday,
yeah, it would have been real. It would have been really great. Oh, power today, pleasure tomorrow. God, the artwork is so fucking. I gotta look up who the graphic designer was for this movie, because, man, these posters are so creative and so funny.
Oh, man.
A fucking volleyball game in the middle of a power plant. No big deal. It's whatevs. I mean, in all fairness, let's be honest. That actually feels like a precursor to the Springfield nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of dudes in hazmat suits playing volleyball. Watch your fingers. Watch your fingers. The other thing that I really gotta hand it to Gilliam is, the fact that he constantly has what I call on edge blocking, because it's really hard to stage the anxiety in your actors blocking and how the actors move and whatnot, but to do it throughout the entire movie and not offhandedly exhaust your audience is actually kind of a terrific feat, because, as you know, poor Jonathan Pryce is moving through these sets like a giant awkward lobster baby.
Yeah.
But to keep up that kind of anxiety is actually kind of a great feat. Oh, I love this. All the billboards. The long string of billboards that half of which we really never really get to see or appreciate. Don't be opening it, man.
Well, I mean, see, and that's just it. It's just like, he clearly doesn't trust her, and she even is like, open it, I don't care. And
oh, hell. sure they're the terrorists.
What I find so interesting right here particularly is that, like, she's calm. It's clear she's dealt with this before. This is honestly probably procedural. And his reaction is what messes everything up.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like, he is way out of his element. He is Donnie from Big Lebowski. Donnie, you're out of your element.
It's like, yeah, he does not it's like he stayed in his bubble for so long. He never really, he got a promotion to a new section, but he's not sure how that world works. Like, he's so new to it.
He also, all of his experience romantically has always been in dreams. And now that he's forced to literally deal headlong, pun intended here, dive headlong into reality is quite jarring.
But it's not only with that, it's with everything. It's just like, he doesn't understand the reality of his job. He doesn't understand the reality of the ministry. He doesn't understand the reality of love. Like, he has spent so much time in dreams, he does not understand almost anything, which was fine when he stayed in his lane.
Maybe that's why the American right, the political right, has always loved this movie, because they identify with that. Perhaps.
I've stayed in my dream world so long, it must become reality.
Which is totally funny because, his dreams wind up getting turned on his head by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Also, can we talk about the design of those police cars?
Oh, yeah.
They're so stupid looking. And so he manages to come up with a design that is super aggressive and intimidating, and also really stupid and hilarious at the same time.
Well, and there's definitely, I don't know how much you know about, like, English, like, police enforcement tanks and stuff like that. They're clearly a futurized version of those kind of tanks that the English used.
But they're just, because they're so hilariously box-like, they look like, they look like hilariously beefed up versions of, like, the Mars rover. It's actually kind of, and plus when that they're models, they just look that much more unintentionally adorable, while still keeping that imposing kind of thing going on in context with the rest of the film.
If that poster right there isn't Republicans all over. Consumers for Christ.
Oh my God, if that ain't true. Jesus Christ. Prosperity lighting. Like, man, that really is the Republicans in one great advert. Oh, you know what I really love that I just noticed about this little the mall they're in right now. They've got all these beautiful, like, fabric lacing draped around everywhere to give it that beautifying effect. But I just remembered, it's pretty much the same material as the bedroom when they finally do get together. Nice little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Love the use of the mirror, though. That's a great line. Normally that voice change,
gosh.
or that oh God, no, put it away, change the channel. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you. But normally that voice choice would probably be really annoying, but no, it kind of weirdly fits. It kind of weirdly fits in this chaos of a movie. I don't want to call it a dumpster fire because it's not, but it kind of is, and that's what.
But like, it's an intentional dumpster fire. That's the
point.
It's
an intentional. It's an intentional dumpster fire of a movie, and I kind of love it. Dude, it's right here.
And it's the same thing. It's the same gifts.
It's the same goddamn gift. That's another really great little commentary that everyone buys the same goddamn Christmas gift every year. Because, like I said, it's profit for Christians for profit. Where's your badge, dude? Oh, such a good match cut. I love this shit. And now, if you notice, like, it's no longer in the original setting. It's actually in his reality. He's splicing reality and dreams together, and I love that. Okay, so we've had some really great cuts, especially with that those wonderful match cuts to splice the reality and the dream world together and to make them cross over and whatnot. But coming up in just a few minutes is probably my favorite cut of all in this whole movie, because it just shows off how well Terry Gilliam uses his wide-angle lens. Like, it's probably one of the best and most extreme cases I've ever seen him use it.
I love the commentary though, where they're just like, "Oh yeah, Department of Information, they're always hanging around in lingerie." Yeah, and it's like that tells you everything you need to know about the ministry in general.
Yeah. Well, you gotta love the fact that he ought to be really grateful he's not in one of those things. Down, boy. Okay, it's this shot right here that I was talking about. He uses the ultra-wide lens to where you're looking way down in the perspective, and it cuts on, like, the most ugly close-up you've ever seen in your life. I love that, because you have to... The first shot is a wide-angle lens where you're looking this huge hallway, and you're leaning in like, is there supposed to be something at the end? And he catches you off guard when you're leaning in. It cuts to this uncomfortably close face. And I love that cut. Boy, don't you just love how he constantly has like half a dozen dudes behind him constantly.
Yeah.
Either for the intimidation factor or to constantly berate him with questions. Oops. Come on now. sure it was. It was literally just a fly.
Yup.
You know, it's kind of amazing that shit like that didn't happen more often. Although, then again, it probably does, and the movie just never really shows it. It just kind of implies that into your head. Oh, a message? Thump. That was fast. Oh, man. Oh, dear. Boy, that whole sequence was just straight out of Chapman. Or Chaplin. It's a winter wonderland!
I like the fact that, I mean, it's very clear from his reaction there at the office that he has stepped so far out of his reality that, like, there's no going back for him.
No.
It's like he could have sat down and addressed the paperwork and tried to solve things correctly, but he's become so infatuated and obsessed with her that, like, his reality is just gone.
Yep. He's a little far gone, but just when you thought his apartment couldn't get any more uninhabitable, it turns into basically the future hideout of Mr. Freeze. Oh boy, forced evictions too? You and the rest of this movie, Bob. Oh yeah. Robert De Niro's back. Now, I will admit, this is kind of an ingenious and just sinister revenge bit. Also, you really gotta love the fact that the septic and the air condition have the exact same kind of pipe.
Right.
Like, ooh, that's not easy to mix up at all, especially with the insane amount of pipes already going back and forth throughout each apartment. Oh god. Oh god.
Ugh.
Oh god. Did I shit myself? Oh god. Oh, that is an awful way to go. Victory cigar. Oh. Oh, hell. Yeah, you
And
get
how
him,
often
Robert
do
De
you hear
Niro.
that phrase these days? We're all in this together.
I know, right?
That reveal shot for her right there. Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Dude, like, half of these shots really would be actually kind of great looking and even better arguably in black and white.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, I bet if Terry Gilliam had the budget, he probably would do a lot more of this movie with black and white, and also black and white in color as well, like mixed, like black and white with color elements and that sort of thing. Yeah. But wouldn't that have been a really great approach? Like, have all of his reality stuff in black and white, and play up that kind of beautiful film noir lighting, but also have all the fantasy stuff in color.
Yeah.
Like, how great would that have been? And then, as the movie goes on, there's like elements that are colorized and things that aren't, and you start to question, well, if this is colorized, is this real? Can this be trusted? And you're not sure until the very end where it's all completely confirmed,
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a really great way to tell this story. I bet now that I'm looking at that, like, this would be a great fan project, for someone to do like a color spotted black and white bit where the dreams are color and the realities are black and white. That'd be really cool. Someone do that as a fan edit.
I love her reaction here. She's just never seen like the wealth side of things, like up close in person like this.
Oh yeah, dude.
She's very like, whoa.
I mean, hell, I've been there before. I mean, there was a time when I was living in literally the only space that I had was a 10 by 10 room in a house where I was living with 5-6 other people. And that same year, I also happened to get a lucky draw, or a very good friend of mine invited me onto a cruise to Alaska, and I walked on board, and I was like, holy shit, what the hell am I doing here?
Right.
I'm just a poor kid from Chicago. Like, I don't belong here. This is how rich people spend their weekends. It was like that moment in Treehouse of Horror where Homer goes 3D, and he's like, oh man, this place looks expensive. I feel like I'm wasting a fortune just by standing here. Better make the most of it.
She's like,
what the fuck was that? Motherfucker.
I love
She's like,
the design
the
and architecture here.
Right.
When you finally get those like not so up close
big,
to the wide
the
shots
big
of it.
wide shots, man.
And even with the cleaner material, pipes.
Everything. The fuck, they're everywhere, dude. Although those vacuums are gonna be coming back in a big bad way later on. I tell you what. Oh Jesus. I love even he's got the same fucking gift.
Right.
I wonder if those are actually available, like as either not just original props, or like actual bits in promotion of the movie or something very similar. I'm pretty sure those exist somewhere. Well, I mean, Christmas is right around the corner, so if y'all want to get me something, I'm just saying that'd be a nice Christmas gift. You know what I mean? Because apparently everyone in this movie thinks it's a good Christmas gift. Yeah, dude, look at these sets. Like this seriously looks like pieces of the Axis Chemical set from Batman.
Yeah, I it's very similar.
Although, what's funny though, because that particular set was explicitly used for a movie that came out in 1984 or 1986 actually, and it was the Alien set for James Cameron.
Oh.
Like if you remember towards the end of the movie where all the eggs are and the
Yeah.
alien queen and the nuclear power plant fact, that set, that was totally 100% reused to be the Axis Chemicals set for Batman.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now I look at this place and I'm like, oh my god, this looks exactly like Carl Grisham's set from when the Joker comes in, like, you sold me over a woman.
See,
woman!
It's interesting because this movie actually does have a connection to Alien also.
Oh, how?
So all the effects used for the computer terminals are identical for those used for the Mother 6000 computer in Alien.
See, this shit's connected.
Yeah, and obviously Ian Holm was in both movies.
Yes, of course. Everything's connected. What does it mean? What does it mean, Sean? It means that Hollywood's really cheap and they just like to reuse their shit.
Well, when you got to come in under budget.
Oh, yeah, dude, totally. I mean, and hell, this movie didn't have that big of a budget. It only cost, back then it was like $15 million, which is like, what? 35 something today, so it's not that expensive of a movie, but unfortunately it didn't do too well at the box office, which is really sad because this was a wonderful movie. But then again, I think it has a lot to do with like all this crazy recuts and
I would not be surprised if this has made up has become technically profitable budget in time. Assuming we obviously ignore Hollywood accounting.
Yeah, totally. I'm pretty sure it has because it's got such a huge following. I mean, it's actually the personal favorite movie of all time for people like Frank Zappa and Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic. Like he's gone on record many times saying, "Yeah, this is my all-time favorite movie of all time." Period.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, as I said kind of earlier, I can't really pick a single Terry Gilliam film as like my favorite or the best, but it's just kind of like, I always kind of have a rough, I can't even do a favorite movie, I have kind of like a rough top 5, and really like, you can just pick, spot like 3 or 4 for just like, insert whatever Terry Gilliam movie I'm really feeling at the time here.
Totally. If I really had to, though, like if I had a gun to my head and said, what's the best Terry Gilliam movie? Not your favorite, just the best. This just might be the answer.
See, I mean, I really have a love for the Brothers Grimm, so it's difficult.
Okay. That's fair. That is totally fair. But yeah, here's the bed, the famous bed.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. First time I saw that movie, my friends and I caught it in theaters. And we watched the whole movie in complete silence. And then the credits rolled, and we literally could not stop laughing for 10 minutes. It was like a giant joke that like you don't actually get to laugh at till the very end. It's like a 2-hour long joke, and you finally get the punchline, and you can just lose it.
Fantastic. You're just like my dreams. Actually, I'm not. No lie. The wig looks actually pretty good on her.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I deleted your file. We're free to go wherever we want.
Yeah, but he should have deleted his own.
Yep. That is one of the best lines of the movie, I swear to God. It's so awful, but it's so funny. Oh, I love that shot. Where we get a POV or aiming down with and it closes in. Like I bet if there were computers or anything, he would have tried to touch it up a bit so that it forms the shape of a heart as it closed. Because you could tell he's really trying to find that one take where it kind of looks like a heart. But, you know, it's just constraints of filming and whatnot.
Yeah.
But had he had the tools, I bet he would have done that. Perfectly obscured because it's just the wig. Oh, I love this shot. This is like the best thing ever. Like, here's your Christmas present. You want to unwrap it? That's great, dude. Who doesn't want to wake up on Christmas for that? Although I'll not have this part though. Thank you. Do you also notice that every time these guys break in, it's the psycho violins, the ee ee ee. Oh shit. Dude. This sequence is scary as hell. But I love the fact that this actor is reading it so matter-of-factly and so fast. Like, this is a like how, just to give you that sense of regularity for him. But for some reason, the speed at which he reads it is both hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
Yep. Because it doesn't matter to him. It's just his job.
Nope. Of course, they got to have that crescendo of, like, you're wasting paper. All our government is about is paper. Your papers and your receipts. The paperwork is everything. Oh, God. Jesus Christ, that's always so terrifying. So is that. I don't want this, Santa. Oh, you're not going to see her again. Well, he can't drink it. He's in a straitjacket. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing that you spent this much time of company and government resources to stalk a woman. Nope. You also gotta love the Dutch lighting as well. As a matter of fact, I just noticed that Terry really likes to use a lot of Dutch lighting. Dutch lighting, kids, is when, you know, it's the old flashlight trick where you hold it under your face to make it look scary. But I just noticed he did that a lot.
Yeah.
And not just this movie, but in a lot of his movies, actually. Like, well, it's definitely a recurring thing in Fear and Loathing Las Vegas, because he goes really fucking apeshit with his lighting on that movie. Oh, boy. And Happy Christmas! Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, like, just being informed that, she's dead does not help
Yep.
you.
Nope. Oh, dude. Dude, this shot.
So,
Man, look at that set, dude.
here's what's fun. Those rails are functional.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they used to dolly back
Mm-hmm.
at an extreme speed, which I thought was really fun, but oh, Jesus. So I take it this in a weird way, this is kind of the infamous Room 101 of Orwell.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah, this is the shot that I was talking about that just is so creepy, but it's also so funny at the same time. I don't know how Gilliam is able to constantly walk that balance so skillfully throughout the entire movie of getting these really creepy and unsettling scenarios, but also kind of making them weirdly funny.
He's a master of it.
Yeah. And I also love how there's the binky and the bouncy ball. I think that actually might be a reference to his kid. We know it's you. You're frightened. Not gonna lie though, if I was like sitting in a dentist chair or a doctor's examination with that kind of a mask staring down at me, I'd be fucking terrified.
Well, yeah.
Oh, it's such a good reveal shot. Although, is it weird that I kind of want that mask on display on my wall or something?
It's good to have on a wall at the end of a dark hallway.
Lit from below. Oh, hey, check it out. It's Chris Nolan in The Dark Knight Rises. Now you just kind of want them to start the chant. Dishy, dishy, Basra, Basra, dishy, dishy, Basra, Basra. And of course, Robert De Niro is here to save the day. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll call you Harry. Freedom! Freedom! And she just like, whatever. Not my department. Bang, bang. Look out. Kapow.
I like that one of them takes the time to grab his coat.
That's good. And then we got the famous breakout sequence. Gotta love that the lift actually works now. And how the desk clerk is just completely unfazed by all this.
Yep.
And then just if we couldn't make this sequence a little bit more awesome. Pew pew pew. We got to make the sequence even better by doing a really fun reference to Battleship Potemkin. This is because like a lot of people point out like, oh, one of the great homages to that was always in The Untouchables, which ironically, we already touched on this episode. But out of all the great parodies of this, this is probably my favorite. With the eyeglass, the soldiers marching down.
I think I have to say though, I think my favorite's from I believe it's Naked Gun 33 and a third.
Oh yes, that's another good one too. I just like this one probably the best because it's just the most surreal and the most fun, and it's just there's no real need for it, and it doesn't really add a whole lot, but it's just fun that it's there. Boy, you gotta love how easily it was to escape. You want to do the honors? Destroy my workplace? Do I dare to live out the American dream? Boy, if that ain't it, though. I want to kill my boss and destroy destroy the building where I work. All the papers raining down. Fuck your paperwork, yeah! Burn, bitch! Down with authoritarianism and corporations. Down with governments. Fuck your paperwork. Yeah. Hell yeah, Batman. Hell yeah. Okay, seriously, like this whole set, because this is, wow. Stealth. Their stealth level is like through the roof. Because that was pretty shitty. That was like, how did you miss that? Oh wow, you know what I just noticed? There's no diegetic sound here. This is just music. This is actually playing like a silent film actually now.
There's a tiny bit in the background. I can hear the paper a little bit.
Yeah, but they're turning.
Beyond that,
but obviously, they're turning it way down to give it that sense of a silent movie now. That's a really interesting choice. I didn't notice that in previous screenings. It's attacking me. The paperwork. It's coming back. To ring true. Don't worry, comrade. I'm going to help you. That nasty pulled paperwork won't be taking you down. But I do love the fact that he's just vanishes.
Mm-hmm.
Vanishes in a sea of paperwork. Which, if that ain't fucking poetic, dude, like, I don't know what is. Yeah, it really is amazing that there's almost that the main focus in the sound mix is the music, and the all the background noise just gets like a back seat, and for some reason that really plays up like the almost silent film-esque kind of dreamlike stasis that he's in right now. God damn, if I love these sets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We still haven't gotten to the weirdest part of the movie. Jesus Christ. The uncomfort level is so real. The weirdest funeral ever. You know, honestly, half this shit in this scene actually makes me feel like it was directed by or co-directed by Tim Burton. She just keeps getting fucking younger.
Right.
I need to hit on these young men that are the same age as you. And yet again, bursting through the scene. Oh dear. You know, for as heavily armed as these guards are always, they don't really fire their weapons that often, do they? It's more for the intimidation factor. Oh. Ew. Whoop. Ah, such a good transition. Oh, and looking, does this look familiar now?
Mm-hmm. And, like, right here is the biggest clue if you hadn't caught on already.
Yeah. Is that he's not, this is not actually happening. This is all just in his head, another dream. Oh God. But I actually do love that this whole sequence is kind of him struggling through the procedure.
Yeah.
I imagine. And as soon as he, the torment is gone, and he finds, Jill again, is when he's finally succumbed.
Yeah. It's a brilliant sequence.
Yep. A sequence, I might add, lasts a full 10 minutes. Like, that's a really, in a feature film, that's a fairly long time to commit to a complete fake out.
Yeah.
Actually, it might even be closer to like 12 or 15 minutes. Randomly materializes into the cabin. And they get to drive off into the sunset, into the wonderful hilly countryside, away from it all.
Which
away
we
from
already
the
know
urbanization.
that doesn't exist.
Yep. We're going to have a lovely little home and a lovely little farm out in the middle of the country where no one, not anyone, can ever bother us again, and we'll all live happily and verily ever after. Oh. Ooh. Well, shit.
I love the subtlety that you can see the wound on his hand. That is like the
Yeah.
indication he has been being tortured, but like they
Yep.
leave it at that.
Yep. I'm pretty sure, like, he's... I wouldn't be shocked if they actually, whether on purpose or not, they lobotomized him.
Mm. Well, but I mean, his hold on reality was tangential at best, so it's not.
That's true. So it
surprising
just
that he just
kind of snapped.
Yep.
But at least he got to live. At least where he did wind up in his mind. At least we can say it's a good one.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's, this movie always brings up that question that everybody has to kind of
come to terms with in their life, which is, it's like, do you chase your dreams and, face the possibility of being, of destruction and ostracization and just, not being able to function in society? Or do you lean into, society and play by the rules, but at the destruction of your true self?
Yep. And I love how they just hold on that final shot throughout the entire credits, just to let the horror of where he is sink in.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Michael Kamen was the one who did the music. Right on. But yeah, I think we should also talk about the fight for Final Cut, because this was so not how the studio wanted to end it.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you bring up that story for those of you who probably don't know? Because most of you, I have a feeling, do know, considering, like we said, we are specifically watching the director's cut of this. And therefore you probably know about the other versions. But yeah, why don't you fill us in, Sean? Because I feel like I've been just jabbering on and on and on.
Yeah, so the studio wanted to give this a happy ending, which Terry was like, yeah, that's not going to happen at all.
Ever.
To the point where the movie was not being put out. So some things that happened because of this. Terry got De Niro to go on a late night talk show with him to directly call out the studio exec who was holding it up. He took out a full page ad, and I think it was like Variety or something at the time, which cost him a pretty penny, and made it look like a funeral ad. Calling out like that his movie's not coming out, and calling out the executive by name, which was like royally pissing him off, and it was part of the nudge. But one of the big factors was he was invited to participate in not so much a film festival, but I can't. Do you remember the name of the school?
Yeah, it was.
USC,
it was
University of Southern California.
Yep, it was a couple of Los Angeles film schools. I think he even had it at UCLA as well.
Well, right. They were doing a battle of kind of the battle of movies, and he was gonna screen this film, and the studio got word of it, and we're just like, you're not allowed to do that. And so like he's at the event, like on the phone with the studio, going back and forth, and they eventually give him permission to play a clip, and he just plays the whole movie.
Yep.
And then continues to do that for 2 weeks. Just keeps playing the movie. So because of those screenings and that they weren't being charged for, I mean, the studio's pissed, but it allowed the critics to get to go see his movie.
Yep.
And the critics were just giving it such rave reviews and calling it amazing that it basically forced the hand of the studio to finally let him put his cut out there, because when you're sitting on a movie that critics are putting out rave reviews for, and you're not putting out that movie because you're being grumpy,
it's bad press, and the last thing a studio needs is bad press.
So there was just a huge bitter battle trying to get his cut, and we're not even talking about this cut specifically. It was a theatrical cut, but that did not have a happy ending.
Yeah,
this cut came
a
little bit later, but this has basically been like, this is the established cut that everyone watches and everyone should watch. So
yes, absolutely, dude. I mean, we need weird movies like this, but it's just it's crazy how influential this movie is, because we talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie and that whimsical nature. We talked about Batman, Aliens, and Blade Runner, but some other things that kind of reminded me of is like the Coen Brothers, the Hudsucker Proxy movie. Mm-hmm. Or Alex Proyas's Dark City. Those are some other ones that come in there. And you even mentioned Hackers. Like, this movie is probably one of the most low-key influential movies, like, out there, especially of the era of the 80s, for sure.
Right, and I mean the art style in it is so unique, but not only that, it is the techniques it uses, and the blending of fantasy and reality, and
Yes.
just so much of it, and that's just it. It's like its influence can be felt far and wide, but nothing. Its influence is not massively overt. You're not having people like. It doesn't have a sequence like the Odessa Steps where you're going to be able to be like, oh yeah, that was straight lifted from here. Short of a snarky zipline escape with a wink, like that's about the only thing you might catch being straight cribbed from this.
Totally.
But otherwise, there's so many like little things and aesthetics that have been pulled from this, used other places. But I think that's also one of the brilliant parts about it, is because like it's not so overt that you can necessarily always pick it out. But once you're really aware of this movie and have that context, and you start looking around, it's like it so much of it pops up in sci-fi, in dystopian films, and all that kind of stuff hereafter. And I its legacy, I don't think, can be overstated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like, it's definitely, while we've always kind of like gone back and forth of whether or not that this is Terry's best work, we can definitely say this is peak Terry Gilliam.
I mean, I would agree with that, but then again, I'm somebody who thinks that Terry hit a peak and just didn't come down.
He really never did he? Oh man, it's gonna be. Now I'm really need to just like spend an afternoon and try to hunt down a copy of Man Who Killed Don Quixote, because I've been reading about that for years and years. Now that it's finally out, I just need to actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I was very happy I pursued it, and I mean, another movie he does with Price, so.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Whew, well, is there any other thoughts on this insane ride? Because I think I've been about exhausted by it all. This movie is great, but man, is it a ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic movie. Everyone should see it, and just
Totally.
go into it with an open mind and enjoy the trip.
Absolutely, dude. Well, I think that'll be capping it off for this episode. Actually, you're going to be with us on next week's episode with another Marvel movie of the month with Mark. We're doing the OG X-Men movie from 2000 by Bryan Singer. It's going to be a really good show, you guys. And because I know you, Sean, specifically wanted on here because that particular episode, because you're a diehard X-Men fan.
Yep, I got into comics when I was about 8 years old, and I spent, pretty much from when I moved to Ohio, so from about 11 to 15, I spent a lot of time tracking down, like, X-Men chase books. Like, I would, do my chores and do extra stuff to earn my allowance, and I'd be, riding my bike up to the comic store to get another, Silver Age X-Men book, so.
Hooah! Yeah, it's going to be another really good episode. So, hope to see you guys next week. It's been really fun listening to you. I've been Tim.
I've been Sean.
And this has been Contract, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. Peace.